On Friday, NBC, which is broadcasting the Beijing Winter Olympic Games, refused to air an ad that would have aired in Washington, D.C., that was harshly critical of the Chinese government, an ad created by Florida GOP Congressman Mike Waltz, the first Green Beret to be elected to Congress. As the ad shows images of various Winter Olympic events, Waltz states in the voiceover, "The world's athletic showcase." But just outside the show, rape, genocide, slave labor. As the video shows various American companies, including Coca-Cola, Visa, Procter & Gamble, Airbnb, Intel and Nike, Waltz states, American companies are drunk on Chinese dollars, entangled with Chinese dictators committing atrocities and propping up these genocide games staged by the Chinese Communist Party. And what can we do? The video cuts to Boston Celtics center NS Freedom saying, "Stand for freedom. Defund the dictators. When you see Made in China." Waltz concludes, "Put it down." Waltz told the New York Post, "This is the equivalent of holding the Olympics in Germany in the 1940s or Rwanda during their atrocities. It is beyond the pale that the International Olympic Committee didn't move the games." He added, "I think the companies supporting it should be absolutely ashamed. Many of them preach social justice and contribute millions of dollars to social justice causes, and yet are turning a blind eye to the genocide going on. Many of them are complicit with their own supply chains." Waltz spokesman James Hewitt told the Post, "NBC will not run our ad unless we remove the corporate logos of companies." Responding to an NBC spokesman saying, the ad was not rejected. Per NBC Universal's long-standing advertising guidelines, changes to the ad were requested so it could air. Hewitt fired back, "It defeats a major purpose of the ad, to highlight U.S. sponsors' culpability with China's human rights abuses. The point of the ad was to target Olympic audiences in D.C." Last week, Democrat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, CA, urged U.S. athletes not to speak out against Communist China's human rights abuses, arguing, "I would say to our athletes, you are there to compete. Do not risk incurring the anger of the Chinese government because they are ruthless. I know there is a temptation on the part of some to speak out while they are there, I respect that. But I also worry about what the Chinese government might do to their reputations, to their families." Former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo stated in mid-December, "What's happening in the 1930s is happening in Western China today. There are eerie similarities between the two, and hosting the Olympic Games as the Germans were able to do in 1936 gave great credibility to that regime. We ought not to permit that to happen. The International Olympic Committee has a responsibility to make sure that hosts for these games deserve it. This regime certainly does not."